Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Overflow Method podcast. My name is Areege. Today, we are focusing in on the legacy pillar of the Overflow framework. If you are interested in learning about the whole structure of the Overflow framework as it stands now, because structures are always evolving. But as of the time of recording this, the structure can be discovered through the first episode of this podcast. The first episode, I'm going to link in the description the Substack article, because the Substack article gives you the options to receive the information in a way that suits you best. So it'll have a link to read all the concepts just in written form. If that's what you feel like doing, you can listen to like the whole podcast transmission there too. There's a link, or you can get the Spotify link if you just want to do audio only. But yeah, if you found this episode and this is the first time you've seen me, that could be quite helpful for you. But anyway, let's get into today's video. I have discovered that for me, it doesn't work for me if I try to pre-plan my creations like way in advance. It's literally like I have to bring through the information at the moment that I'm going to deliver it, or as close to the moment that I'm going to deliver it. So for my Overflow Method coaching group calls, which we do every week, I'll also leave the link in the description. But for those, it's like a live transmission. And for so long, I was trying to facilitate group programs and I was trying to like preemptively decide what the structure of each call is going to look like, what the contents of each call are going to look like. And I was facing a lot of resistance to my creation, to my program as a result. And I was slowing down my progress because I was acting in a way that was misaligned with my actual natural ways of being. So like the call before the last call, so like 2 weeks ago, I was really given an opportunity to face this inner tension. And what ended up happening is that I realized that my way of creating or speaking, I do really well identifying the contents of what I'm going to talk about very shortly before I'm going to talk about it. So when it comes to this video, I have like a general, it's like as I'm going about my week, I have general ideas and concepts as to what my episode is going to be about, but I can only really decide right before I hit record. So literally like 5 minutes before I wrote down the base structure. I also don't like to operate on scripts because again, it feels too rigid. So what I do, in case anyone's interested, is the title comes through first. So today's title, this is for those with multi-lifetime visions. Huge title, very powerful title. Feel a kind of like hesitancy to title it that because I'm like, it's bringing up all these fear of being misunderstood, like people won't get it, blah, 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 all this stuff in my brain, all these mental constructs that have developed in my brain that keep me small and keep me feeling shrunken. But anyway, the title comes through and then it's like bullet points of the concepts that want to come through. So then when I'm recording or when I do the same thing with the Zoom calls, the live Zoom calls. It's like I write the concepts come through and then as I'm speaking, it just flows. Like I just flow. But in the case where I lose track or I forget something or I just feel like off center, I have my notebook to look down on to see what bullet point concept I'm on, and then I move forward like that. So this way of creating, it took me some time to really like come to terms with it because my mental constructs of how I'm supposed to host a podcast or a YouTube video or a group coaching program, I have a lot of mental constructs in my brain on what it's supposed to be like and what it's supposed to look like and how you're supposed to do it. There's like a lot of concept in my brain around like shouldness, like this is how you should do it. And that is all based on how I've seen other people do it, and especially other people who I witness as being successful or for receiving reciprocal energy back for what they're putting out into the world. It's like I see them, I observe them, and I'm like, okay, well, that works for them, so that's probably how I should do it as well. And what I'm finding is that when we look towards others, it is really useful to understand other people's frameworks and ways of doing things, like me sharing my process with you, because what it does is it shows us a new option. Okay, and then when we have that option inputted into our system, we have the ability to really feel into whether that aligns with us or not. If it doesn't, get rid of it. Like, don't follow that. Like, for example, if you're someone that's hearing me talk about not being into scripting my videos, but it, like, for you, you really thrive with scripting, follow your own inner guidance. Like, follow your own inner compass trumps everything else, everyone else's way of doing things. Like, your way is the right way. And but also, like, you can also be someone who's exactly like me and also will, this framework of like bullet points and talking works perfectly identically to how you want to do it too, and that's great. But more often than not, when you hear something that you kind of resonate with, take their process, take their way of doing things, and then alter it to match you. Maybe you like bullet points, but you also do like scripting. So part of the video is scripted, part of it is just bullet points and free flow talking. Like, what I'm trying to bring up here is the concept that your way to do things is the right way, because your way is directly connected to these multi-lifetime visions that I'm referring to in the title. So going back to that title concept, this video is for those of us who feel like what we're meant to do here, our mission, like our creative purpose, extends far beyond this one lifetime. Like, what we're meant to do here is what we've been doing, if you know what I mean. Like, we've been doing it like lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And so if you resonate with that, you'll probably resonate with this feeling or sensation that what you're trying to do is like too big. And the reason it feels too big is because parts of it span beyond, parts of what you're meant to do span beyond your like mental concept. Our mind is very human, it's very here in the now, it's very for this reality. But if you're someone who's connected to a multi-lifetime vision, you operate in realms, for lack of a better way to say it, beyond this reality. So there's information that cannot fully be like understood and processed through our current human minds. And so what this will lead to is this really deep sense that you're meant to do something big, that there's like huge potential within you, but also this like sense of confusion mentally. It's like, okay, like I can feel like I'm meant to do big things, but I have no idea what that it looks like. I have no idea where to start. I have absolutely like mentally, I can't connect to it. Like thought bait, like I can't connect to the thoughts that I need to connect to do the thing, you know, like I can just feel it. So it's like you almost feel paralyzed, because for people who are on the planet that have like visions that really just span like this lifetime, which is also, by the way, if you're in the spirituality space, there's no hierarchy of divinity. Like, people who just have visions that span just this lifetime, it's just as holy and valid and divine and amazing as someone like you who has a vision that expands multi-lifetimes, okay? But a vision that spans just this lifetime might look like someone who is operating very much in the material plane. I mean, it's obviously like impossible to like look at someone and be like to like know what their mission is and like how far it expands and how big the mission is that they're connected to and the vision is that they're connected to or their soul's connected to. Everyone obviously has multi-lifetime visions, but in some incarnations, like some human beings, in this lifetime, you'll see them and they are very like, how do I even put this into words? It's like they're very connected to this plane of existence. Like all the information that they need for their creative mission in this lifetime already exists on this plane. It's fully accessible with their mind. And I think many of the people that we see out there in the world who are like achieving things and operating like fluidly in the 3D material world, it's because for them it's like slightly easier to connect to the information that they need to bring their visions to reality, because the information that they need all exists within this sphere. I hope you understand what I am communicating. And if you don't, leave a question in the comments and I will attempt to extrapolate this concept further. But I feel like many of you do get what I'm saying. So I think we try to, for those of us who have these ginormous visions, we try to operate in the way that people would like smaller vision. Not smaller, smaller is not bad. But we're just going to use that word because I can't think of anything else right now. For those of us with huge visions, we try to operate like people who, we look at people operating with smaller visions and we're like, oh, they're successful because it is obviously easier to bring through smaller visions, because again, it's like you can like directly mentally connect to all the information that you need, and there's less like translation work that is necessary. So we us with big visions, we look at those people and we're like, oh, we need to do it like them, or we try to like fit ourselves into their box. And that leaves us feeling very paralyzed and frustrated because we can't, it's like no matter how much we try, we just can't. Like there is a level of the unknown when it comes to our path in life that we have to accept at a certain point. And it's like the faster that you can accept that unknown, the quicker you will achieve the levels of success you're looking for. Because, like I keep saying, part of our path, like the information that is required for our path, a lot of it is like further out. It's like we have sight that is further out, but only some of our senses can like fully sense it, and then like it stops at our mental thought plane, and then that stream can't like reach our thoughts, so it leads to confusion. But anyway, the way that I'm finding to deal with this is you just have to really, really trust your inner knowing beyond what your mind knows. Like you have to get really, really, really comfortable with that sensation of the unknown. And you have to get really, really, really comfortable with your intuitive guidance system, because we cannot fully rely on our mental capacities to help us do the work that we're meant to do here on this planet. And if we do that, we limit ourselves and we end up feeling stuck and paralyzed and confused, because we need to activate greater sensory perception beyond just mental thought, beyond just like the way that most people seem to be operating on this planet right now. We need to like activate and accept. For a lot of us, like these sensory abilities are already activated. It's really just about us accepting them and trusting them. And all of these extra sensory abilities fall into this category of inner guidance or intuition, inner compass, like I've spoken about in other videos and other podcast episodes and things like that. So that's the first thing. Like we have to, in order for us to ground these visions into earth, we have to accept ourselves. First of all, we have to accept our inner knowing. Like even me sharing this, the reason why it feels edgy is because I can put myself in the shoes of someone who doesn't understand what the heck I'm talking about, is not one of the people that this video is meant for. And I can see them being like, what the heck is she talking about? This girl's crazy. Like I can feel all that projection energy. But I have, the reason I'm able to speak it out still and to share this video publicly is because I'm deeply, deeply connected to my inner knowingness. And that inner knowingness and that inner certainty, it trumps, it's so weird to use the word trumps with the current climate, but literally it's like no better word. But my inner knowing trumps the projections from other people, because I know that what I am connected to is really powerful and really important. And the projections that are coming at me from other people, it's really just a misunderstanding or even like an ignorance, right? So it's a very similar energy to when people are racist, right? If you go to someone who lives in a very like remote community and everyone that they have ever interacted with in their entire life is the same as them, looks the same as them, basically speaks the same as them, thinks like them, they are more likely to be racist because there is a level of ignorance that they are embedded within. They literally don't know. And oftentimes, what we don't know, it makes us uncomfortable because what we don't know or what we don't understand, it's something that is unpredictable to us, and that makes us feel unsafe because if something is unpredictable or unknown, we cannot prepare ourselves. We cannot like brace ourselves. Like that's a very like animal consciousness level, that's a very like animal based consciousness level, like a physical plane consciousness level, but it is something that we experience on this planet. And so I often see that those people who I can sense the projections from, it's really just misunderstanding and ignorance. And it's not that they like genuinely hate or like are like wanting to put negativity towards me. It's that there's a part of them that is like a little bit intimidated and a little bit afraid because they're like, what is this person talking about? Why is she so certain? There must be something wrong. Like it's pointing, it's like when someone else doesn't recognize your inner knowing, it's not really your problem because it's like the same as trying to convince some ignorant racist person that there's value in other cultures. It's like you can do it, but it's kind of a waste of energy because if they're not willing to dive in or to explore, then you're kind of just talking to a wall, and it's like a huge drain on your energy. So if you are someone connected to multi-lifetime vision and you are grounding it in, we have to be okay with the unknown, having your mind not always fully know why you're being led to do certain things, and then also to be able to handle the projections of the ignorant, because people are intimidated by what they don't understand. And when they're intimidated, they try to like put it in a box. And this is where you'll also get like projections of like, this person's crazy, or like, you know, all of these. I'm thinking one of the things for people who are intuitive, right? Or like connected to extrasensory abilities, anyone that is neurodivergent in any way, really, there's always a diagnosis that can be attached, okay? And if a diagnosis works for you, that's great. But from my perspective, diagnoses, like trying to fit people and ways of thinking and ways of perceiving and all these like sensory abilities into boxes, especially these like abilities that span beyond our current human understandings of what we've discovered as human beings so far in our progression of science, you can't really put this stuff into a box very perfectly. And so even if the diagnosis helps people accept themselves or whatever they need to do, at the core of it, it's a limiting label. Like it keeps people stuck in those boxes. I mean, this is a whole other conversation that I'm not going to go into right now, even though it is relevant, but maybe we'll go into it another time because it's just too big of a conversation. So anyway, let's move back into the topic of this video. So going back to multivision lifetimes, our job is to be able to connect as closely as we can to this mission that we feel connected to, and to ground it onto the earth in the here and now. And our body is the conduit. So this is why the overflow method is structured in the way that it is. The overflow framework is about, like, it starts with your health layer, because your health is your body is your conduit. It's like a way to help people like us ground our visions into three-dimensional reality so that we don't get stuck in that paralyzed mode or in a way that like burns us out. We're meant to forge our own path and be trailblazers. Like, we hold trailblazer energy. And so it's quite tempting to go down the paths that other people have already walked or we're seeing around us. We're like, oh, it'd be so much easier if I could just walk down that path. But whenever we try to walk down that path that's not actually meant for us, because we're meant to forge and create our own path, we end up burning out because we're acting out of alignment with our natural ways of being, and we're acting out of alignment with what we're actually meant to be doing and creating in this world. So there's that. The other thing is the way that we get out of the paralyzation mode, that state of confusion, mental confusion, because we can't access all the information we think we need to take action, all we have to really do is we have to learn how to focus on the next step. So with spiritual teachings, like oftentimes especially in the Eastern traditions, learning how to be in the present moment is like such a core teaching for these like traditions, because it's from the present moment that anything else can emerge. Like the present moment is where everything happens. And so if you're disconnected or disassociated and you're always living in your mind, either in the past or the future, you have to get that in check so that you can actually be in the present moment. Because when you're in the present moment, you're in your body, you're with the current sensations, and you're taking in all the information that is available to you in that moment, and that's the information that you're going to use to help you move forward on your path. And so like when you're in the present moment, you will always know what your next step is. No matter how big your vision is, no matter how like ginormous and hard to conceptualize and hard to verbalize and put into words and explain to other people, etc., you always will know what your next immediate step is. And you know, we've seen this in like movies and things a lot, or this concept that's like you take the first step and then the next one appears. It's like, I mean, I'm getting a visual right now of like walking on water, and it's like the first rock is there and no other rocks you can see to step on, so you're kind of hesitant. But as you like put your foot on the first step that you can see, the next one appears, and then you take another step and the next one appears. So that's how we're meant to move through this lifetime. Just focus on what's in front of you, really, and like that is going to lead you to everywhere that you need to go to be successful on your mission and to be successful with the creative projects that you're meant to bring through and that you're feeling connected to. When it comes to the next step, this next step that I'm referring to is not busy work, it's like needle moving tasks. Needle moving tasks are tasks that are going to tangibly make you feel like you made progress, okay? So right now for me, for example, my needle moving task is I need to create a free masterclass that I can link to in my social media that brings people into the Overflow framework. So right now I have the podcast for the Overflow framework, which is like freely accessible as free content. But then I have like the Overflow Method group coaching program. And the Overflow Method group coaching program is like the most expensive thing that I offer. So I would love more people to be in there. And what I'm realizing is that the podcast free content is not enough. I need to create like a middle point between the free content podcast and the coaching program. The Overflow Method podcast is to give you information and to remind you of concepts. It's just like an info dump. And then the coaching program is helping you apply this information personally in your life. So it's like when we go into the group coaching program, it's more about practical application and helping us understand how to take what we're learning and what we're channeling through here and actually put it to use in our lives based on what's going on. Because these are two different ways, like two different types of offerings. One is like an info dump and the other one is like coaching and application work. I need a middle step, and that middle step needs to be a free masterclass that I need to create to help bridge these two offerings, the podcast and the group coaching program. So I know that that's my next step. Okay, this is inner guidance led. This is something that I feel is an inner should, which I will speak about in a second. That's my needle moving task. So busy work for me can look like filming a YouTube video that's not related to this next step. So filming a YouTube video is obviously still useful and will make me feel productive, but it's not my needle moving task. It's not my next step. The reason why we will often fall into busy work over doing what we actually know we need to do as our next step, our like needle moving task, is because our immediate next step is always the step that expands us in some way. Like that's why it's needle moving. That's why it makes us feel like we've moved forward, is because it involves an expansion for us. And expansion we sometimes avoid because there is a discomfort in expansion. There's some sort of like tension there, like there's some sort of resistance, or there's some sort of like, it doesn't feel easy. Okay, because like if for me, YouTube videos feel easy to make. There's no expansion there because I've already expanded to that level of being able to film YouTube videos. For someone else, filming a YouTube video might be their next expansive step. So that's a different story. But for me, filming YouTube videos, it's like I've already feel like I've mastered that. Like it doesn't feel like it puts me out of my comfort zone. It doesn't expand me. And therefore, it also, because of that, it also doesn't make me feel like it'll move me forward that much if I make a YouTube video. But what will make me move forward, what will expand me, is creating this free masterclass, because I've never done that before, or if I have done that, I've never stuck with it. And also there's like a lot of like self-doubt around it. It's like, will I know what to talk about? Will I know what to include? Is it even worth it? Like all this like random mind chatter that is making me feel resistant to actually like sitting down and recording that free masterclass, which I'm then going to put in like my social media bio or something, and then that's going to like be the lead magnet. This is like a classic marketing term that will move people into my paid offering of the Overflow coaching program. It feels like a new identity is going to be unlocked when I do that, and so there's resistance there, but that I know that that's my immediate next step. And the faster that I can get myself to move past my inner resistance and take that immediate next step, take that needle moving task, or get that needle moving task accomplished, the faster I will move forward, the more progress I will make. I think one of the biggest things I've learned over the last few years is that we often think that our manifestations, or like us bringing through our visions and our dreams into reality, into the material plane, it's like time dependent, but it's really not time. Like time is not the thing that keeps us away from manifesting our visions. We misconstrue it and we think it's time because it takes time for us to like complete those needle moving tasks and push past the resistance. But really, if you had built up the capacity to be able to move through resistance super fast, like faster you can move through those needle moving tasks, that's what determines the speed of your progress. It's not actually time. But again, like this is where the rest of the overflow framework comes in, because in an ideal world, we can just go bam, 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 and like immediately get to where we need to be. But there is stuff that we have to work through within ourselves, because we have a body and we have like it's hard. Like sometimes the sensations that come up that are related to our expansion they really feel difficult for us to move through, because sometimes these are like deep ancestral patterns that have been traveling for hundreds of years, generation to generation, and it can feel like there's a lot of energy built up in that type of task. And so sometimes we do need to do body work, emotional work, all of this like stuff before we feel ready and capable of handling that level of energy and moving that level of energy through us. So like it's not about forcing yourself to like do the tasks as like quickly as you can. We have the understanding that when we do take these needle moving tasks, that's going to move us closer to our goals, to the realization of our goals. But at the same time, understand that you do have a level of like a capacity that you can operate within. And it's like we can stretch our capacity over time as we move through different experiences. But if we like try to push past our capacity, that's when burnout happens. Like that's when it's like too much and we can't cope. And we need to find the balance between that. We need to find the balance where we're not avoiding our needle moving tasks because it's uncomfortable, but then we also need to make sure that we're not pushing ourselves too far too fast, because that will ultimately be unsustainable and will lead to burnout. So one of the things I've also been thinking about recently is the sensations of discomfort that come around with expansion and the process of expansion. When we take action, what we're doing is we're moving energy around. And it's like when we're moving energy around, it's like shaking things up, and that's what leads to the sensation of discomfort. So recently, I don't know if this is going to help you, but it helps me. I have been experimenting and playing around with reframing discomfort as just me like moving energy around and like shifting things. And when I think about it like that, it's like, okay, things are like, I feel uncomfortable because I'm actually moving things. I'm moving myself forward. I'm moving things in my reality around. Like things are happening. And so when I think of it like that, like discomfort is related to forward progression and forward movement, there's like parts of me that are actually starting to like welcome the sensation of discomfort. Like I don't feel like I'm suffering as much with respect to that sensation as I used to, when I only used to see it as like a bad thing that I needed to avoid. So that's something for you as well. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about in this episode is when we feel resistance to doing something, resistance shows up in like different scenarios, like specifically two different scenarios. There's one scenario where a task that you're thinking of doing, you feel resistant to it because you're avoiding something, you're avoiding the discomfort of expansion that we just talked about. But there is also another version of resistance where you feel like you need to be doing a task, but you feel resistance to it because it's misaligned. And I'm still playing around with this distinction because it's like trying to understand that even our resistance to taking action, there's different textures of it. And right now it's like I'm identifying two different textures. One that comes from actually just avoiding discomfort, and that we should actually move through that resistance and do the thing because it's our needle moving task. But then there's like another texture of resistance that is related to misaligned tasks. Like this is when we're doing something out of a should. Like we saw someone else doing something and we're like, oh, like I need to do this thing too, otherwise I'm not going to succeed. But it's not actually coming from an inner guidance place, it's coming from outside. So the best way I've been able to mentally conceptualize this, we can divide the feeling of should into two different categories. One should, like for example with my needle moving task in my free masterclass, that's coming from within. That's like an inner should. But then there's also outer shoulds. This is like what I was saying when we look at someone else doing something and we're like, okay, well they're doing it like that and they've succeeded, so we need to do it like that too. So for me right now, an outer should would be like me scripting out my whole podcast before I record it. So that's misalignment. You have to be mindful of where your resistance is coming from. I feel like I'm going to be speaking about this more because right now I can feel it's not like a fully conceptualized thought, and I still have like more to contemplate around this topic. So stay tuned for that. But for now, I'll just invite you to pay attention to when you have a task that you need to do or you think you need to do. Feel into whether it's a task that's coming from an inner should. Is it actually a needle moving task that's coming from within? Or is it a task that you're feeling resistant to because it's actually misaligned? Luna's barking because dinner is about to happen and people are here. But if it's misaligned, that is referring to a task that you feel like you should do because someone outside of you or something outside of you at some point programmed into you that that's what you have to do. So just pay attention to your resistance to action taking, and when it is coming from misalignment, allow yourself to feel the feelings of that and the fear that comes up when you don't do the thing that you think you should be doing. That's when you like feel into that and like process the emotions around that and like deprogram yourself. But then also like if you have a resistance to a task that's an inner should, and the resistance is like not from misalignment, it's from just an avoidance of discomfort, that you really need to like process the emotions around that, but actually then slowly and gently move yourself forward into that task, because that discomfort is hinting to a expansion opportunity, and that expansion opportunity is exactly what you need to get you to where you need to go. So yeah, that's the end of this episode. The main takeaway that I hope you get from this, or that I intend that you get from this, is that focus on what's in front of you, focus on your next step. what's in front of you, do that. Focus on your next step. Focus on your needle moving task. Take care of your body, take care of your health, take care of what you need to take care of. But when it's time to do your work, take those needle moving tasks. And that is really going to help you find a good flow in bringing your vision to life, especially if you're someone like me who has such a ginormous vision and it feels impossible to like lay it all out on a paper or like on a business plan or something in one sitting. So yes, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I love you. I love you for being here. I'm so proud of myself for being here as well. I had a really busy week. We're in the process of buying our first house, Garrett and I, and it's like amazing, but there's also like lots of things to do. And I'm just like so beyond proud of myself for building my capacity up to a point where I can do this weekly and I can show up weekly. And like, I genuinely, like, we had such a busy day yesterday because we had to like get the home inspected and everything. And we were like out pretty much all day. And then I totally forgot that I hadn't recorded the Overflow podcast for this week. Like, I literally woke up this morning and you know that like sleep state between awake and asleep, that's when I remembered that, oh, I need to like record, I need to get a podcast episode up today. And then I was like, oh no, I can't believe I forgot. And then I had resistance to work through because I was like, oh no, but I'm tired and all this stuff. But again, it's like in that moment, like today, my next step was to record this podcast today. And so even though I was feeling an avoidance of the discomfort because I'm like, well, I feel tired and I don't know if my mind is like fully awake enough to like record this episode and channel this through and speak this through. It's like I was able to recognize that it is coming from an inner should and that it's worth processing through that discomfort and just moving forward and recording this and showing up. So I'm really, really proud of myself for that. So that's everything for today. Today, I'd love to invite you into my membership. So my membership is called the Golden Age Frequency, and it's a space where I share like in the moment processings. It's kind of like the behind the scenes to my life. It's where I'll share personal information and things that I'm experiencing and going through that I don't want to share publicly yet. So it's like basically the real time processings of me and what I'm experiencing and how I'm experiencing my golden age reality right now and what that looks like in my life and how it's unfolding in my life. So all the details for that are in the link below. It's like on the sales page. Like I really wrote out the intention behind that membership space, but I would love to invite you in there. And yeah, that's everything. Okay, literally perfect timing because my phone just ran out of space and so I just deleted something so I could finish this goodbye properly. So goodbye, thank you for being here. I love you. I'll see you next week. Bye. Also, I'm on Instagram and Threads. Threads is where I post the most. And then I have Instagram where I also post more often. And then YouTube and then all the other stuff. Okay, bye.